This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Ease is the place to go to get legal Golden State marijuana products delivered right to your door. They've done a lot of work on the back end to not only make sure that the ordering and buying process itself is well designed and simple to use, but also that their system knows all the different rules and regulations found around the state over cannabis delivery. You know you're always fully in compliance with state marijuana laws when you order through Ease. There are a lot of dodgy delivery services and dispensaries out there who care very little about compliance, and you don't want to trust your business to anyone but the best, most compliance-obsessed companies around. When it comes to California, few companies care more about staying in compliance with state law than Ease. Swing over to ease.com to place your order and to stay on the right side of California state marijuana law. That's ease.com, which is spelled E-A-Z-E, ease.com. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, February 16th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 433 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day is the big fold scene in Washington, D.C., as Colorado Republican Senator Cory Gardner lifted the senatorial block he had imposed on nominations for Department of Justice posts after U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions rescinded the Cole memo. While this would be good news had the senator's blockade forced Sessions to retreat on his rescinding of the protections for state legal cannabis extended by the Cole memo, that's sadly not the case. Instead, Senator Gardner just folded, saying he was encouraged by conversations he had had with DOJ officials over cannabis policy. No changes, no compromise, just a full-on surrender by Senator Gardner. His backbone was nice while it lasted. Jumping up to Canada for the next two stories, we first find a piece in CTV News about the ever-evolving timeline for when Canada will roll out nationwide adult use legalization. In recent weeks, that picture has solidified a bit, as it now looks like Canadian consumers won't be able to buy adult use cannabis by July, and yesterday it firmed up even further, as federal lawmakers agreed to hold a final vote on adult use legalization bill C-45 by June 7th. And in the 2 to 3 months of time needed by the industry to get ready once legalization is officially sanctioned, and you get late August to early September for when Canadian dispensaries will be starting up sales. Our other big story out of Canada is news that one of the country's largest health insurance companies will soon start offering coverage for medical marijuana patients. Sun Life Assurance of Canada say they will offer plans that cover between $1,500 and $6,000 in medical marijuana costs per year. The plans will only be available to patients living with certain conditions, mostly involving different kinds of pain. Sun Life said they would also be continually monitoring clinical research around medical cannabis to make sure that new conditions helped by its use can be included into their plans. This is big news and hopefully just the tip of the spear of other insurance companies joining in to offer coverage. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. One of the things that Ease customers really appreciate about doing business on ease.com is that they know they're never going to drift out of compliance with state marijuana laws. Ease.com makes sure their online system knows all the different sets of rules and regulations for delivery found around California, and they make sure all of their dispensary partners are following every law they need to be. What that all adds up to is happy customers who enjoy consistent, top-quality products at great prices, all delivered right to their door. That's powerful stuff. Put the power of Ease to work for you by opening up ease.com, which is spelled E-A-Z-E, ease.com. And don't forget, Ease is also one of the smartest companies around when it comes to thoughtfully analyzing their data, which they always aggregate and anonymize before teasing out insight, knowledge, and wisdom about the cannabis consumer and the industry at large. Find some of that yourself over at ease.com/blog. All right, time for the Blitz. The pressure in Massachusetts on that state's Cannabis Control Commission to dial back the boldness with which it is proposing to launch legal adult use sales later this year is being dialed up, as State Attorney General Maura Healey has now added her voice to cautious state officials led by Governor Charlie Baker. Yesterday, Attorney General Healey sent a letter to the commission that read in part, quote, "While there may be time to consider the introduction of social consumption marijuana establishments, mixed-use consumption establishments, and delivery-only retail sales, we believe it should not be in the initial months of implementation," unquote. Activists within the state got vocal yesterday morning, decrying the seemingly coordinated attacks on the announced plans from the commission. Not a bad one to open up for the full read, including General Healey's full letter. Philadelphia's top prosecutor announced yesterday that his office just threw out more than 50 simple marijuana possession cases after noticing a spike in cannabis-related arrests. Most people caught with marijuana within the city are given tickets, but Philly prosecutor Larry Krasner, a former civil rights attorney with a history of suing police, said that some offenders were still being hit with misdemeanor charges and that it was the right thing to do to drop them. Utah's State House just passed a pair of hugely limited medical marijuana bills that would allow for a small system to be set up using medical cannabis grown by the state that's made available to patients in the last months of experiencing a terminal disease. The bills, HB 195 and HB 197, will now go on to the state Senate, where they face stiff opposition. We'll update the story should events warrant. Yesterday, U.S. Secretary of Treasury Steve Mnuchin testified before the House Ways and Means Committee and said that issuing new guidelines for banks and other financial institutions to follow in dealing with state legal marijuana were, quote, "at the top of the list," unquote, for his department. The secretary was pressed for clarification on his stance by Oregon Representative Earl Blumenauer, a noted industry supporter, who characterized the current lack of access to banking by state legal marijuana as, quote, "a threat to public safety," unquote. North Dakota just announced that it has selected BioTrack THC as its vendor for medical marijuana tracking software. Under the 5-year, $600,000 deal, BioTrack THC's software will track the flow of cannabis from cultivator to processor to dispensary to patient. In a sign of things to follow in the U.S., developments are being made in Canada on the science and manufacturing of cannabis-infused beverages, with industry giant Canopy Growth Corporation saying they were hard at work in a collaborative project with Constellation Brands, the makers of Corona beer, who invested more than $240 million Canadian into Canopy last year to develop new drinkable marijuana-infused products. Canadian law doesn't yet lay out specifics for how drinkable marijuana products can be sold and marketed, but the two companies are hard at work making sure they're ready to deploy as soon as that's all figured out. This is a big issue, so another good one to open up in full. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. And finally for today, we have a bit of a snafu in Ohio, as the state just admitted that it made a big mistake in the process of evaluating companies to receive medical marijuana cultivation licenses. Yesterday, the Department of Health copped to the blunder, which led to applicant PharmaCann Ohio being wrongly denied a license after one of its scores was mishandled. It's not exactly clear yet how the issue will be resolved, with just 24 cultivation licenses being made available and the state saying that none of the already announced winners will be removed, leaving the likely scenario that Ohio will soon have 25 licensed cultivators. This is another one we'll obviously keep an eye on. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again Monday morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Ease, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.